For days, the woman peered through her window, puzzled by the German shepherd sitting silently in her yard. He never moved far, never barked, just stared at her door with eyes full of purpose. When she finally opened it, what she discovered stunned not only her, but the entire neighborhood. It was a quiet suburban morning when Sarah first noticed the German shepherd. He wasn't roaming the street like other strays, nor did he bark or beg for food. Instead, he sat silently on her front lawn, his sharp eyes fixed on her white wooden door as if waiting for something or someone. At first, Sarah thought he belonged to a neighbor, perhaps resting before wandering back home. But as hours stretched into evening, he remained rooted in the same spot, unbothered by passing cars or curious stares from strangers. The next day, she opened her curtains to find him still there, unmoving, watching her house with an unsettling determination. His ears twitched at every sound, yet he never strayed far, as though her porch was his chosen ground. Sarah felt an odd mix of unease and sympathy. This wasn't normal behavior for a stray. He wasn't searching trash bins or howling for attention. He was simply waiting, patient and dignified, like a sentinel guarding her home. Questions stirred inside her mind. Why her house? Why now? With each passing moment, she realized this dog wasn't here by accident. Something deeper, something hidden, tied him to her doorstep. By the third day, Sarah couldn't ignore him any longer. Each time she peeked through the window, his amber eyes met hers, steady and unflinching. It was as if he knew she was watching, as if he were silently asking for something she couldn't yet understand. Her neighbors muttered about calling animal control, but Sarah hesitated. Something in his expression stopped her. He wasn't aggressive or desperate. He was purposeful. Against her better judgment, she carried a small bowl of water to the porch, placing it gently on the step. The dog didn't rush. Instead, he approached calmly and drank. That night, Sarah left food out as well, unable to shake the gnawing curiosity tugging at her chest. Why would a dog with such intelligence and dignity be waiting on her lawn day after day? She began to notice his subtle behaviors, the way his ears perked when she opened the door, the quiet way he shifted closer but never crossed the threshold. He wasn't lost, she realized. He was waiting. The thought both unsettled and intrigued her. Sarah found herself lying awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering who he belonged to and why fate had led him to her doorstep. By the end of the week, Sarah wasn't the only one who had noticed the dog. Neighbors slowed their walks just to glance at the shepherd resting on her lawn, his posture regal, his eyes ever watchful. Whispers spread quickly. Some said he must have been abandoned. Others believed he was waiting for a master who would never return. A few advised Sarah to stay away, warning that dogs like him could be unpredictable. Yet, none could deny there was something extraordinary in his patience. Children pointed from across the street, tugging on their parents' hands, asking why the dog never left. Elderly couples shook their heads in wonder, recalling tales of animals who once crossed miles to find their homes. The speculation grew louder, echoing through every porch and fence line, until Sarah felt the weight of everyone's eyes on her decision. Was she reckless for letting him stay, or was she the only one who sensed the truth, that this dog wasn't lost at all? He was waiting for a reason that no one yet understood. The seventh night brought a heavy storm. Rain hammered against rooftops, lightning split the sky, and thunder rattled the windows. Sarah sat curled on her couch, hugging a blanket, but her mind wasn't on the storm. It was on the German shepherd outside. Through the sheets of rain, she could see him, soaked and trembling, yet still unmoving. His silhouette stood like a statue in the storm, his gaze never leaving her door. Something inside Sarah twisted painfully as she realized he refused to abandon his vigil. Finally, guilt overcame fear. Grabbing her coat, Sarah stepped outside into the downpour. The cold rain stung her skin, but her eyes stayed fixed on the dog. Slowly, she called to him, her voice nearly lost to the roar of thunder. To her surprise, he didn't back away. He simply watched, ears perked, as if weighing her intentions. Sarah's heart pounded. She took another step closer, then another. The dog's expression was steady, unreadable, yet beneath it, she thought she saw something almost human. Not aggression, not fear, but a plea for trust. The following morning, Sarah could no longer resist the pull of her own curiosity. She stood by the door, her hand trembling on the knob, the silence of her home pressing in around her. The dog was there as always, sitting patiently as though he had never left through the storm. With a deep breath, she slowly opened the door. For a moment, neither moved. Then, the shepherd rose, shaking the dampness from his fur, and took cautious, deliberate steps toward the threshold. Sarah's heart pounded as she whispered, "It's okay. Come in." The shepherd entered quietly, his paws padding softly against the hardwood floor. He didn't sniff randomly or wander aimlessly like a stray would. Instead, his movements carried intention. He padded through the living room, paused near the sofa, and finally stopped in front of the fireplace mantel. Sarah froze. His eyes were locked on a framed photograph. Her late husband, in his military uniform, smiling proudly. The dog sat down before it, lowering his head with a quiet sigh, as though acknowledging something sacred. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. In that instant, she realized this wasn't just chance. This dog had known him. That Sarah's knees weakened as she stared at the German shepherd sitting so reverently before her husband's photograph. Her mind raced, searching for explanations. Could this truly be her late husband's dog? He had served overseas for months before tragedy struck, and Sarah had been told little about his final days. The military had delivered his belongings, but there had never been any mention of a dog. Yet here this shepherd was, calm, watchful, and drawn unerringly to the image of the man she had loved and lost. A shiver ran down her spine as realization began to sink in. She knelt slowly beside the dog, tears pooling in her eyes. Did you know him?" she whispered, her voice breaking. The shepherd turned his head toward her, amber eyes glistening, and gave a soft whine that pierced her heart. It wasn't coincidence, it was connection. Somehow, through instinct or memory, he had found his way here, to the family his master had left behind. Sarah buried her face in her hands, overcome by grief and awe. This wasn't a stranger's dog. This was her husband's loyal companion. Carrying the weight of love and loyalty across an impossible distance, Sarah reached out, her trembling hand brushing gently over the shepherd's fur. At first, he remained still, as though uncertain if he was truly welcome. Then, slowly, he leaned into her touch, releasing a low whimper that carried years of unspoken sorrow. Tears streamed down Sarah's face as she whispered, "You're home now." Outside, curious neighbors had gathered, watching silently through the rain-dampened street, many wiping their eyes at the sight unfolding on her porch for the first time in months. Sarah felt the crushing loneliness in her chest begin to lift. She wrapped her arms around the dog, holding him tightly, as if embracing a part of her husband's memory. The shepherd pressed closer, his tail wagging faintly, his eyes closing in relief. Together, they wept in silence, one mourning a soldier lost, the other finding the family he had left behind. In that embrace, grief and loyalty became love. From that day on, the shepherd never left Sarah's side. He followed her through every room, guarded her steps, and slept by her door at night. What began as silent waiting on her lawn had become a bond neither of them could deny, a gift born from love and loss. Neighbors no longer whispered with suspicion, but with awe. They called him a guardian, an angel in disguise. For Sarah, he was more than a companion. He was family. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more unforgettable tales of loyalty and love.